impala don't know that he's there. And by being patient is the way. Hopefully, sometimes the animals actually even come closer to him, which makes his job even easier. He comments she loves watching his dewlap develop. Yes, he's definitely starting to develop one. But on my interview drive, I had him with Tingana, and there was a big difference in that dewlap and in the size. But just in the last 3 weeks since I've been here, I've seen a change in him. And it's so amazing to see him willing to take male impala, because that is the ultimate test of a leopard. That's when you know you've become an adult, when you're able to take down a fully grown male impala. They are very, very large in comparison. Male impala is about 65 kilograms. So that's about 135 pounds. That is a big animal for an animal that probably only weighs probably about the same, maybe even a little bit less. But he could eventually one day get up to the record-holding weights of 85, 90 kilograms, so 180, 190 pounds. That is a big leopard. But right now I wouldn't put him over 50 kilograms. Maybe 55, which is 110 or so pounds. What a magnificent specimen. Indeed, the little prince. And folks, this is all happening live. Oh, he's getting a little bit tired. It was quite a long walk. Okay, well, we're right down by Treehouse Dam. So look at that intention. He's definitely interested. That was a bird. That's what I talk about, his patience. But they are such opportunistic hunters. They will kill anything that comes across them. Be it a little bird. I think he was eyeing out a hornbill just now. Maybe more inquisitively than anything else. So folks, we're going to stay with this beautiful cat. We're probably going to reposition and get a bit more of an elevated view on the other side and see what unfolds. And while we do that, we're going to go back up to the Mara. Mr. Ralph Kirsten, I believe, is searching for bigger cats.
Searching for big cats we are. Thanks, Steve. Yeah, we've come down into the swampy area, and surprise, surprise, there's quite a bit of water around. So we'll just be sticking to the main track, maintaining where it is a little bit more compact. So normally, even though there's a little bit of water around, it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get stuck, but it doesn't mean we won't either. So you never know. But I'm heading up towards that area where I saw the Mara River Pride of lions, where we saw them 2 days in a row. So I don't think they're going to be in exactly the same spot. I doubt it, but they might be in the area. So that's why I'm just heading this way. And we have been driving alongside the forest next to the Mara River. There's been wonderful birds, and we had that nice sighting with the woodland kingfisher, but also passing a lot of buffalo wallowing in the mud, and now heading up, completing my little loop that eventually we're going to head towards those lions that we saw earlier. Melanie, I think you're asking for any suggestions to bring if you're coming on safari. Well, always the personal little things that you do need to make sure of is that you've got a very nice... Oh, Melanie, and it seems you're going to the Serengeti. Well, my couple of small tips that I would always suggest to somebody going on safari, you want to have yourself a half decent pair of binoculars. This is probably the most important tool that you can have. Obviously, if you've got a nice zoom lens kind of camera, you could possibly forgo the binoculars, because you can zoom out and get yourself a picture and be looking at that. But anyway, one of the two, so that you've got a very easy access to distance viewing, because some of these things, you know, you can say, oh look, there's a lion over there in the grass, and you can't really see it unless you have a zoom lens or a pair of binoculars. And for bird watching, it's a must. Obviously the normal things, hats and sunscreen and water bottle, but something else to always remember as well. I don't know where you're going in the Serengeti, but take yourself along a nice torch. Not something big and bulky, just something that has got quite a bright light that you would easily be able to move around at night. Normally these lodges in the area, they will supply you with that, but I don't leave home without my binoculars and without my very good strong torch. A head torch is a good one. But head torch a good one, but you can also get very small spotlight type torches. So that's my best advice. But while we continue on and see if these lions are around, let's head you on over to Jamie, who's got a very big group of birds.
We have got a spectacular flock of egrets, and I know it's not what you were expecting, but it is something well worth having a look at as they soar along the edge of the Mara River. I mean, how utterly spectacular is that? Like, I don't know, it's like something out of a fantasy movie or a fantasy film. And yet here it is, right in front of us. Remember, watching it completely 100% live, and hashtag Safari Live is how you can get hold of us. Isn't that spectacular? Really far away, so Adrian's doing an amazing job. But now, on that note, why are you not looking at a spotty cat? Well, unfortunately, he went off-road and I just couldn't risk it. The whole area is so swampy, and there were so many holes. And all I was going to do was scare him, because I think he went off-road to hide away from us. I'm sure he's going to pop out now. But he went to hide away from us, and it really wasn't all that fair on him either. Obviously, we respect the wild animals that we have a chance to see. If they're comfortable with us, then we spend time with them. If they're not, they're not. Isn't that beautiful? Where are they going? Off to find the next herd of elephants. I'm pretty sure they've come from the herds of elephants that were off to my right, but they've all gone now. But the herds of elephants picking up the insects that the elephants have disturbed. And where are they heading to? Who decides it's time to go? Does one just take off and they all follow? Probably. Ryan, you say, is so peaceful and serene. Isn't it just? How about I'm quiet for a little moment and you can just take it in? Beautiful. Coasting over the herds of dopey and waterbuck. Oh, wait, latecomer. Okay, we're going to carry on and see if I can get us out of this truly sludgy area in one piece. Let's go across to Steve, who's been doing some repositioning himself, and let's see if he's got a better view of Mr. Hosanna.
Thanks, Jamie. I hope you don't get stuck. Lots of marshmallow awards, I believe, being awarded up there lately. None down in the Sabi sands. We have no water. But folks, we've just come to the other side of the drainage line, and Hosanna's probably moved about 30-40 meters from where we had him before, and he's now playing the very relaxed card. He's now lying down and very there we go, the action is over. As we came around, we could see those male impala. I can actually still see one of them. They're looking very intently in this direction. We're not trying to influence it at all. We're quite sort of to the side of the scene, so we're not involved in it. So we're hoping that, no distraction is made by our presence. We obviously don't want to influence nature. Movement of the leopard, if he might need to be a little bit more cautious or a little bit more stealthy if he wants to catch a male impala. They have been around for a few more years. Bobcat Mama asks, when the leopard goes in for the kill, does it go for the throat? And yes, invariably, most of the time, leopards will jump on the animal, try pull it to the ground, and then put its, proud cat mama, I apologize for that. It will jump on the animal. Often the strength of the animal itself, or the weight of the cat itself, will pull the impala down, and then it will try and latch on the throat. If it can't latch on the throat, sometimes they'll latch on the muzzle itself. They'll try get somewhere to suffocate the animal and to eliminate the breathing. It's the quickest way of killing the animal, and also by choking it here or covering the mouth, the animal isn't allowed to give off this very loud distress call. And now you might ask, what is the purpose of the distress call? And there's lots of ideas out there. When an animal gets attacked, it makes this very loud bleating sound, the death bellow they call it. And they've done a lot of studies, and they've realized, because I don't know if any of you folks back home have picked up a frog or a cricket, and it's made this very loud squeaking sound, which forces you to throw it away, because it's actually quite frightening. But that bellow doesn't do that. It doesn't cause the predator to let it go. It doesn't attract its friends to come and help it, except in the case of buffalo. But often you'll see other impala will come and watch their friend being killed, which is quite sad. But one thing that it does do, and it's something that scientists have copped onto, and if they want to do censuses of predators, is they'll play on a speaker the death bellow of an animal, and you will see the lions, the hyenas, the leopards, the jackal will come running. So what it does is that bellow, that's a very good example, actually forces or causes a hyena or a lion or something else that might be in the area to come into the scene and maybe frighten a leopard off of the kill, giving that animal just that one slight opportunity of standing up and running away. So from a leopard point of view, it's very important to cause that choke, to eliminate the competition of larger predators coming in. For example, Tandy killing an impala, also a larger leopard could come in and steal it. I think we saw that with Tingana the other day. That animal was making a lot of noise. I think Tingana was at least decent enough and let her kill it first before he stole it. Maybe that was just learned behavior, didn't want the duiker to run away. But that small opportunity of that bellow can often attract, and I've seen it many times, where a leopard kills something and they're not a very experienced leopard, they're trying to kill it, but they're not doing very well, and often that animal loses it purely because of competition. So it's something to think about. But yes, cutting off the throat or the air supply is a very, very effective way of killing. And in that way, I think leopards are probably one of the most humane killers out here. Hyenas, they chase animals down if they do, and they basically bite them until the animal collapses and dies of blood loss and shock. We've seen wild dogs killing, and they just rip an animal apart. And lions, if they're on their own, will often do the suffocation, but lions in a group, I've seen many times, they just start feeding on the animal. So definitely the leopard would be the way to go if you wanted a quick death out here. Sorry to be so morbid. So folks, we're going to stay here with the little prince. It is a lovely afternoon. The clouds are keeping us nice and sheltered. As you can see, he is lying down, but we'll keep you updated. And while we do that, we're going to go back to James, who I believe is leaving Buffelshoek Dam.
Right, so old Stivovo is not far from where I am standing right now, and I'm standing at a pan from which I am told reliably by Rexon, who does not make mistakes, that Tandy came to drink at earlier on today. Now, if you were on the sunrise safari with us this morning, you will have seen that we spent a long time after we'd seen Tandy and her cub looking around this area and in the bushes between here and where we lost her in the bush. And this is quite nice, because what it tells me, I think, is that she has a kill in this thicket over here somewhere. So we're going to go in there and have a look and see if we can find it. The fact that she hasn't gone back out the way to what I would have thought would have been closer pans is quite telling, because I think it means that she may be closer than we think she is. I'm just going to look around and see if she came with the cub or if she came on her own. And so far, it looks to me like she came on her own. I actually can't find her tracks here, but I trust Rexon implicitly. So I'm sure she did come and drink here. Let's just look over here this side. No. I believe that I can hear the approach of Rexon as we speak, actually. Is that Rexon? I'm going to go and ask him. Come with me. Let's go and trek together. We'll get him to give us a good explanation as to what is going on. Okay, ngenile la. Alright, ntakulanza. Alright, so we're going to follow Rex into the bush. He says he's going to find it. I believe him. I'm sure you will believe him too. He has a vehicle full of relatively happy looking people. Some of them look a bit shell-shocked. I'm not sure why that should be the case. Okay, Jamie Patterson has got some jackals up in the Masai Mara, and I think she'd like to tell you about them.
Yes, we have some jackal up here in the Mara Triangle. We've actually just got one jackal. But what's really sort of raised my curiosity levels is the fact that when we found this jackal, it was at the base of a tree staring upwards. Oh, I wonder. I'll come back to the jackal because it has moved right behind us. Adrian and I have just done some very interesting driving to the point that it became almost manic. But I just want to see why this jackal was looking up into a tree. I don't think that if there's a leopard kill up there... Oh, there is no leopard kill up there. There was a bird of prey up there. And there's a bird of prey that was feeding. Snake eagle, I think at a quick glance, watching it fly from behind, I think it was feeding on something, and that's what the jackal was hoping for. It was hoping for some scraps. Very cool. Has it got something there? No? Well, it had something. It just lightened the load. Jettisoned extra cargo there. Okay, so the jackal wasn't looking at a leopard kill. I got overly hopeful there. There's a Thompson's gazelle in the back, and now our jackal is trotted off as well. Adrian and I have been driving so fast to try and get through the swamp that we've basically... Adrian had to cover the camera because there's so much water around us spraying up. But I think we're okay now. I think we're out of the worst of it. Right, where's our jackal gone? There it is. Oh dear. I'm not following it off-road there. There it is. I think shortly after this I'm going to make a break for solid land. I'm getting tired of really hoping that the next puddle of water I drive into isn't a massive pothole. That's beautiful. They're actually very attractive animals, aren't they? There's something very bouncy and energetic. Oh, spotted something, grabbed another insect. So most of while we've been watching the jackal recently, we've been watching them hunting a lot of insects. And Monique in London, you say that you think they're gorgeous. I agree. I think they're gorgeous too. A much maligned animal, but fascinating to watch, very intelligent, and highly entertaining. And just they give off this feeling of bundles of energy in a tiny little body. I've got a sneeze that's just got stuck. It hasn't... Oh, I wish I could have just sneezed there. I don't know where that came from. There we go. Searching, off in search of the next insect prey, possibly even a rodent. Basically doing what the serval was doing earlier. Very, very similar thing, but a cat versus a dog. And speaking of cats versus dogs, I have had many interesting sightings with Mr. Hassana and wild dogs. Luckily today, the dogs seem far away.
Thanks very much, Jamie. Talking about jackal, one of my coolest sightings, leopard sightings I think ever. Probably one of my first ones as well, back in the Kruger Park. I went out at night, I did a whole lot of leopard habituation there. and obviously the objective was to drive around and get leopards used to the vehicle. And I heard hyenas in the floodplain busy calling and this loud cackling sound of typical hyena kill. And I found the area, found the hyenas feeding on an impala, and lo and behold I shone the torch around and this female leopard was stalking the hyena from behind my vehicle, chased them off, and she was a small little female. She managed to chase them off the kill, but I think because the amount of lions we had in that area, the hyenas moved away immediately thinking that it was a big lion coming in, but they quickly recovered and came back and chased the leopard off. And at the same time, one black-backed jackal was in the position and was barking at her, barking and barking and barking, and she started stalking the jackal, and the jackal was barking. I don't know if you've heard the sound of a jackal. I'll play it for you if you have not. I don't want to disturb the prince here. I don't think anything is going to disturb him right now. But that high-pitched jackal bark, and then suddenly it was cut off halfway through as she grabbed it by the throat and disappeared off into the bushes. I wasn't able to follow. I couldn't find her or the jackal again, and the barking ceased. So that's one thing I know for sure, is that leopard do quite fancy a little bit of jackal from time to time. And I actually haven't seen one yet here. Vildy, have we seen one in the last couple of weeks? I haven't. I've seen their tracks around. Mainly maybe down on Chitwa. But we were just commenting now, we were looking at Hosana's belly, and he looks quite hungry, and James had him a little bit more east of where we are now, but we're close to our southern boundary. He's went all the way back up into the middle of Djuma, and he's come all the way back down again. So it's a lot of energy expended, and leopards don't do that in the heat of the day, and they only do it if they're hungry. So he is hungry. Margaret asks, how much do leopards sleep? And the answer to that question, Margaret, is as much as they need to. Leopards, like lions, will sleep for most of the day, and it all depends on if they're hungry or not. If a leopard manages to kill something, it will stay with that kill until it's finished and sleep intermittently through bouts of feeding. But like a lion can probably go for about 20-odd hours, 21 hours a day. Leopards can probably go for a similar amount, maybe a little bit less, because they're solitary. They've got to do more of their hunting on their own. But I would say a vast majority of their time is spent doing what he's doing right now, chilling very hard. We just have another vehicle joining us from the north, so I'm just going to try to help him get inside. There's a little bit difficult situation, so just try and direct him so that he can see this beautiful prince. One of the privileges of being in the area is getting to come and see these wonderful cats. Even when they're flat, a leopard is a leopard. So from a very flat spotted cat, we're going to go up to Mr. Ralph Kirsten, who I believe has got a very tall spotted individual.
Yes, everyone, and if any of you know the Latin name of a Maasai giraffe, which is what we're watching walking up the road here, it's got the camelopardus in it, which means literally the camel, but then with those colors that it has, and looking very much like a leopard, in the Latin it's like a leopard camel. So that's the name, very descriptive, camelopardus. And you see how they walk right, left, right, left, right, left. Very much like that of a camel as well. Very much the same as a hyena. So there's animals that walk very similar like that. And it's normally your sloped-backed animals. Very much you can see between giraffe and hyena, they're very similar shaped back. But this journey, I think they know something. They're all heading up towards the escarpment. Maybe there's floods coming or something, I don't know, but these giraffe are definitely all moving in the same way. Now, Michelle, thanks for your comment and sending it through. Woohoo! Giraffe, your favorite animal. Well, they're one of my favorite as well. They're so elegant, and I've still got them on the top of the list for the best eyelashes in the field. We did say ostriches and giraffe, elephant. There was some that sent in secretary birds and ground hornbills, all contestants for the best eyelashes in the bush. And as you can see, there's a lot of insects and midges flying around now. There's a lot of water in the marshy areas here, or should I say swamp, that we're in. So lots of insects as well. And there's also lots of birds calling, lots of frogs, but I don't know if you'll be able to hear it at this very moment. You see there, these giraffe definitely know something. All heading in the same direction. Now, Faye, you want to know if giraffe make any sound at all? That's a very good question, because I'm sure most of you would never have heard any kind of giraffe call. And if you've heard a giraffe call on any kind of little mannequin or toy that they make, well, I'm interested to hear that as well, because in all the years that I've been in the bush, I've only heard them passing air through their mouth in the sort of noises, but not actually vocalizing in any way whatsoever. There's been little grunts, but that is it. I don't know of any kind of vocalization between giraffes, except for those little nose blows or grunts. And sorry for the car going past there. That's on one of the main roads, and so most people are sticking to them because it's very wet now, and so that's why you're seeing them coming through. But yes, giraffe almost deadly silent, and I think communicate mostly by body language or telepathy. Maybe they are the first telepathic animals we should look into. But other than that, there's very little in the way of vocalization. But there is lots of tactile communication as well, as you can see there, little bits of rubbing and pushing and shoving and head butting and all sorts. But it's generally down to looking at each other and feeling each other, I would say. That's the way they communicate. Now, King, you're wondering how fast giraffe are? Well, I would put them at probably the same speed around that of an elephant, which is around 50 kilometers an hour, 40 to 50 kilometers an hour. So we're talking probably in the range of 20 to 25 miles an hour. They can move. And with that very long gait of theirs, they look like they are so elegant and almost running in slow motion, but they do move ground quite fast. And they've also got a very good kick on them. So both running away and kicking is their defense. They can kick from the front and kick out the back. So very interesting. But everybody, I'm going to start making my way up towards those lions that were in the tree. So if anyone has been hanging around waiting, I'm going to be heading there now. But while I do that, let's head you on over to Jamie, who's got some geese to show you.
I have a family of geese to show you. A mum, a dad, and 6 youngsters, all gathered together at the Magoro drainage system. There we go. Marginally better than I was yesterday when it comes to speaking understandable words, but not by much. I just saw them as we were about to race through this crossing, so forgive the shadow of the roof of our vehicle. But it is such a lovely family sight that I just had to stop. And Egyptian geese are very, well, I suppose you could call them exceptional parents. Oh, I'm so sorry. Adrian, just quickly, Goliath heron. You see its head sticking up there. How's that for a nice find? I think a new one for some of you on your bird lists, a Goliath heron. The biggest heron species that you'll see out here. That is exciting. Very exciting. We see lots of the grey-headed herons, but we very seldom see Goliath. Well, I haven't seen many Goliath herons. So that's a nice little addition to this bird sighting. And there we go. Goliath heron, but back to our Egyptian geese. While our heron fishes, since they are still nice and out in the open and up close to us. It's Steve says ducks are so cute, and Steve is not mistaken, for of course Egyptian geese are not true geese at all, but shell ducks. So they are called geese. Their name is the Egyptian goose, but they are not in fact Egyptian. They are not geese. They are shell ducks officially. Oh, look at the little ones. They've got such rounded, gentle faces. Little goslings, and I suppose technically you can't actually call them goslings, but let's just call them goslings. We're not going to call them ducklings and their parents geese. It's just going to make things terribly confusing. The idea behind the name of the Egyptian goose is the idea that it looks like the stylized makeup of ancient Egypt around their faces, around their eyes, and so on, which I can pretty much see. I can understand that. And it'll take these little guys a few more weeks before they attain their adult plumage, and a few more weeks after that before they are ready to be independent from their adults. But I said they're exceptional parents, and they are. In the times that we've watched, both in Djuma and here in the Mara, where we've watched the adults raise the little ones, they very often have fully grown goslings with them, or fully fledged goslings with them, numbering sometimes up to 8, 9 individuals in one go, which, considering there are so many different potential threats out here, I think is quite an achievement. And one of the most spectacular sightings I have ever seen in my entire life was at Chitwa Dam in South Africa, when this eagle swooped down. Was it juvenile marshal? Yes, it was. Juvenile marshal eagle swooped down and attempted to grab the goslings, and they all disappeared off into the water and into the dam itself, with the parents shrieking wildly at the little ones to try and get them somewhere safe. Blackie, yes, they are monogamous. They are, if I remember correctly, not necessarily monogamous. They're not necessarily mated for life, but they are certainly seasonally monogamous, and both the male and the female will help to raise their chicks. Bear in mind, when we talk of monogamy in birds, there is always the possibility that the male will potentially mate with a female that he might encounter, or vice versa, but they raise the chicks together. And that's, I guess, for them, the part that counts. Is he sifting through seeds? Lovely, lovely, but we must be getting on. So while we rush off, let us go and rejoin Steve, who's with Hosanna, who is definitely not rushing anywhere.
Thank you, Jamie. Yes, geese are fantastic parents. Probably one of the best out there. You know, such successful animals goes to show that the parenting must be good. And we finally have some action. We've been watching the prince sitting down or lying down doing nothing, and now he is scratching his head. He's yawning. He's yawning. Normally what I've noticed in my experience is once a leopard yawns, they quite often get up. And I remember always telling guests that with lions or leopards, when they yawn, watch, he's going to move now. And they always used to think I was incredible and I knew everything. But it's just what they do. Scarlet, that's a very good question. She asks, at what age will he be ready for mating? I suppose he's probably ready now, but he's not dominant now. He needs to first secure a territory and exert dominance. So I don't think until at least he's 3.5. I think that's about as young, or as young as he can be. But yeah, 3.5, 4. But maybe James has got a better answer for you there. He's got a lot more leopard experience than I do. But, you know, lions definitely by the age of 4, 4.5. That's kind of like their prime when they start mating. So I'd suggest leopards are quite similar in that regard. It's all about territory. If he doesn't have a territory, he's not able to compete or dominate with the more dominant male, then there will be no mating for him. And he'll keep moving until eventually he is big enough and battle-scarred and battle-hardened enough until he is able to compete for territory and thus the mating rights of females. It's important that if these cats don't have a territory and they mate, the territorial male, on finding the cubs with the female, will invariably kill them because he knows that they're not hers. So It's very important for females to have that protection from the males in the area that they're in. And if he's not dominant and he's not unable to secure a territory, he's not going to be able to assist in keeping dominant males out. Hang on, folks, I'm just being called on the radio. If you just give me one moment. Standing by. He called me, and now he doesn't have anything to say. This is Wilder, standing by. Ooh, we have a radio malfunction, Wildy. That's okay. We have got the little prince. And I think he wants to tell me that there are some impala up ahead, but we know that because we've been watching them. But little prince is doing his ablutions, and he's definitely got an itchy ear. I think he must have had a tick behind there or something. If you've ever had a tick bite, you'll know how itchy it is. But folks, we're going to stay here with this magnificent little prince who is now starting to get up. And I think we are going to be going across to Ralph, who has found his lions. But don't worry, you'll come back to us and we'll keep you fully updated.
Thanks, Steve. And yes, that calculated guess of mine worked, because I was pretty sure these lions weren't going anywhere. And they have stayed right where they were, and they're a little bit more active at the moment. So if you didn't get to see them earlier when we saw them, well, here we go. And it looks like the youngsters are starting to get some energy, playing with sticks. So this one was trying to climb up the tree a minute ago, and one of his siblings came and tackled him out. So it seems they are up for a bit of games. A little bit more energy than there was earlier. It's also a little bit cooler. The sun's starting to dip a bit. So nice to see them all up and alert rather than just flat on their backs. So that's nice to see. And what a lovely setting as well, with this shepherd's tree in the middle, with them raised on a little bit of a termite mound there. All looking very good in terms of their health. So that's a lovely sighting, and that's what we come to the Masai Mara. Well, that's what I came for, was to see the density, especially of lions. Obviously, all the rest, the migrations and the density of cheetah, also very big draw cards, but definitely the real close proximity of lion prides to each other is, for me, unbelievable. The amount of lions I've seen here in the Masai Mara very quickly racking up to be equal to all the other places put together. So, very nice to see and very special. And this pride in particular seems to be booming. Lots of youngsters and cubs. It's going to be doubling in the next year or so. Ian, you want to know if it's an emotional time when the young males are driven out? Ian, I think we probably as humans attach more emotion to it than the animals themselves do, because the female, you know, when the cubs are young like this, yes, she might be a little bit more emotional than when they are sort of adults and then they are driven out by a big male. I don't think that the lions are as emotional as we are as humans, and I think they accept it a lot quicker than we would. And it also goes to show when there is a death in the family or anything like that, they don't dwell too long on it and they move on, because life goes on, and it's like they live a little bit more in the moment than we do as humans. I don't think they really, yes, they might learn from the past, but I don't think they dwell in it. So the passing of individuals, I think, is forgotten quite quickly. But I'm not in the brain of a lion. It's just, those are my thoughts from observing them over the years, and quite similar to that of dogs, where they, you know, like a house dog, living in the moment. And children, kids or human children, I think quite similar in that thought process, not thinking too much about the past or the future, just living in the moment. And that's why I think they do live life to the full because of that. And that goes for all those groupings, and that's why I think as adults, humans, we could learn a lot from lions and dogs and children in how to live in the moment, forget about what has happened and what might happen, and just live now. And I wonder what this female lion is doing there. She's obviously putting her claws up. You know that lions can very often mark by scratching on trees as well. Very good visual territorial marking. But they also do use it to keep their nails in good nick. So they will sharpen it. Well, let's see if this one can get up. As I said, they're not too bad at going up, but going down's the worst. No, it looks like he's made it. And all the rest of them just playing around at the base. It's that time of day where nice and cool, there's shadows and shade is coming across. There's a little bit of a breeze. And everybody's nice and comfortable. Probably had a couple of days of very cold nights, or a couple of days and nights of cold and wet, as is everybody else. That's why we saw those jackals out, and I'm pretty sure that's why Jamie's spotted that serval as well. I think all the predators out because 2-3 days of constant rain and cold and wet. I think everybody ready to have fun out in less or more dry conditions. Right, everybody, speaking of predators and large predators, let's head you on back to Steve with that prince of ours.
Thank you, Ralph. Just something important to notice here, folks, is that even though Hosanna is a busy cat, he still has time to stop and smell the flowers. That's what he was doing. Now he's eating a little bit of grass. He's not a vegetarian. Cats will often eat grass to cause them to regurgitate. From their licking and their feeding, they often get a lot of hair in their stomach. The best way to get that out is to cause themselves to vomit. And he's walking straight towards VM. Don't worry, VM is a professional. Very steady camera work. Sorry about the back of the vehicle, folks. We have no control over where he walks. You are beautiful, sir. Wow. He's very sort of close to the ground. I don't know if he can smell something, but he's walking up the dam wall now to Treehouse Dam. So I think we're going to quickly go around. As soon as VM's happy with the shot, go around and get up onto the wall and see what he's going to do. But he's probably going to go up very quietly and have a little peek, low to the ground. Look at those ears, folks. How he's changing the profile. Look at that, eh? Just like when we're hiding from our parents behind the couch, we think they can't see us when we stick our heads up. But cats have a very good ability to do that. Isn't that a wonderful shot? Oh, there we go. Screenshot that, folks. That's going to be my new profile picture. Fantastic, Hosanna. Definitely my favorite leopard. I've had the best interactions with him so far. And those of you who were on drive with me that day, he graced me with his presence on my interview. He said, "Welcome to the family, Steve." And we all know that he is royalty, so that makes me a royalty. Ooh, look at the posturing, folks. I wonder if he's seen something at the dam there. We have one of the landowners going around, so he'll let us know if there's something on that side. So he'll let us know. But I think right now we've got a great visual. V, you happy? Yeah, VM's happy. He's getting this. This is fantastic. There was some impala just up on sort of the direction he's looking. Last we saw there was a few males there. It's possible after about 20 minutes or so they've dropped their guard a bit. Look at that. That is the ambush predator. Gonna lie flat there, almost invisible to anything that is in front of him. I don't think there's anything on the other side. His body language is saying so. So folks, we're going to either stay here or reposition depending on what the wildebeest reckons. And while we do that, we're going to go over to James for an update on Tandy.
Well, the update is that if I was in a leopard and I was faced with a Sunday afternoon with something nice to eat, this is where I would be. I would be in amongst these trees over here, enjoying the remnants of my meal, perhaps hoping for a small piece of apple pie, followed by, with some cream, obviously. And that, of course, then followed by some coffee, and maybe a little later, in fact, would be into that stage now, tea and cake. That would be where we are now, and that would then, of course, be followed by a stiff snifter as the sun went down. I cannot say that that's what's going on here, because there isn't a leopard anywhere near us, and we have driven into an area the likes of, in a manner that really has tested this dear vehicle, and she's done very well. So thank you, Jigger. I don't pay you many compliments, but today I shall pay you one. We're going to basically leave this area now. I think she's in here somewhere with a kill, with her cub, and I'm pretty sure that it's impossible to go any further than we have come right now. So I'm afraid that's going to be it from our attempt here. Now, she may well have hoisted her kill up into a tree, but down in the Masai Mara, it is not only the leopards that climb trees.
Thanks, James. Yeah, and these Angama Olololo lions are definitely becoming quite good at this, because it's now the second time I've seen them all propped up in the trees. There's all sorts going on here. The little youngsters are getting very boisterous, and some of the adults seem to want to get away from that. So it's lovely to watch them now at this time of day. And look at the playfulness going on. With old Elvis, the bigger one, with his sideburns and his mohawk, playing ever so softly with his younger sibling. Very gregarious are the lions, and so nice to watch. There's always lots going on, and in a big pride like this, it's lovely when they're active. There might be a bit of spraying, yep, marking the territory. As I said, there can be scratching, which is visual, but now that's olfactory, so all good for leaving your mark into the future. First lady, you want to know if when lions or male lions get old that they lose their mane hair. First lady, I don't think that they lose it completely, because I've never witnessed even very old male lions having lost their hair completely. It does start to fall out a little bit, but that can be as a result of skin conditions and even mange as they get older and they lose condition, or their immune system is down, and then they can lose a little bit of hair, and they can look quite scraggly and unkept. But for them to actually lose their mane, I don't think is quite true. Unless you can always prove me wrong on any kind of these questions, everybody. So I just tell you of what I know and what I've experienced. I've never seen a male lion having lost his mane. I have seen older males that have lost some of their hair, however. Jessica, you want to know if lionesses can get mange as well? Yes, absolutely. It's not limited to the males. It can be any lions can get mange, a skin condition that mainly attacks them when their immune system is down. Oh, sorry, you were asking if they can lose their mane. No, it's quite similar to that of the males as well. They don't grow a massive mane like the males do. Yeah, so sorry, I'm getting a little bit confused with the question here. So, but let's just continue watching them. The females, of course, they can get mange like the males can. It doesn't. It's not limited to males, but they will then lose a little bit of hair, and they don't get manes like the males do. So I'm just trying to cover all my bases there, because we had a little bit of breakup with our communication, but I hope I've covered your question there. As these lions are really getting tactile now, everybody having touchy-feely moments, re-establishing their bonds with playtime. It is absolutely wonderful to watch. Oh, lots of tackling and wrestling, biting. Heidi, thanks for your comment saying, what a perfect lion sighting. Yes, it is. The only thing better would be a little bit of better light on them. But beggars can't be choosers, and this is absolutely fantastic. With them all alert now and playing, but the sun's disappeared down behind the escarpment, so unfortunately we don't have that golden light as you see in the background on them, but we'll take what we can get. And watching these youngsters climbing up the tree is really fascinating, so I really enjoy it. And that's important lessons to be learnt there. Even climbing trees, lions, they do need to learn this skill. They're not as good at it as leopards, and they need to be very careful because there is risk involved. Once they hurt themselves, you know, it's not as easy as it is for us going to the doctor. And so everybody, thank you for watching Safari Live on the Kenyan side of things. We're just about finishing up here, but what a wonderful way to finish our side of the sunset safari, watching lions climbing or falling out of trees. And we're going to be sending you over to South Africa and Hosanna in the beautiful golden light.
Thanks very much, Ralph and Jamie, for your contribution this afternoon. Oh, he's been sitting so nicely for so long there, and now he's suddenly got some steam in him. Vim has been taking some amazing footage of him with the backlit, so I think it's time for us to move. We're going to see if we can catch up with him again. He's moving in the direction of those impala, but he's not doing it very casually. Well, a bit too casual for my liking. Just hold on, folks. Do our best here. He was sitting so nicely there for you. Let's see if we can get up here. The thing with these dams is they are all rather quite open in and around the dam itself. Uh-oh. That is a little tricky. Okay, you're sticking with us, folks. James is in a bit of a bad signal area, but don't worry, we'll get out of this little spot shortly. Love these little vehicles. Sorry V, hold on. Watch out for the spiny leadwood there. We have the other vehicle here from Djuma. It looks like Rex is back. We're not going to influence him here, whatever it is he's doing. And just see him through the long grass over here. We're on the road again, which is quite nice. King Faye asks, what is a leopard's preferred diet? And here in the Sabi Sands, each leopard tends to have a different selection, but they will pick on whatever they can get. Deka, Nyala babies, impala seems to be probably the preferred choice purely due to their numbers, but I would say on average any of your small antelope, impala being probably number one purely just because there's so many of them, but Tandy seems to be killing lots of deka and lots of warthog at the moment, but the warthog are breeding, so that would be a peak now with regards to warthog babies. Leopard taking a fully grown male warthog, very tricky to do. And leopards taking fully grown adult impalas is also tricky, but they do it. Don't know if you can hear those Franklin or Spurfowler busy alarm calling there. We're just going to sit here, folks. I don't want to influence whatever it is that he's doing. There might be some animals in the front here that we haven't seen. He's going to cross the road perfectly for us. Doesn't seem to have too much intention in his posture as he did before. But isn't that a glorious picture? He is getting so big. All the viewers back there probably have seen him from a little cub. I saw that video the other day of Watch Hosana grow. Amazing to see how he's changed in such a short period of time to become this beautiful male leopard. I'm very privileged to spend time with him, and very privileged that it's my job to show him to you. Terrible job I have. Even the girls in the FC, they get to watch this all, and we do bring them out whenever we can. It's one of the highlights of working out here, is getting to come and see these animals live. Something you should all do at some stage in your life is go on safari somewhere, get to experience the true nature of the bush and the animals moving through. There he is. The light is just perfect right now. The wind is still quite strong. He's definitely got something of interest there. He might even be stalking a Franklin. You can hear tell the crested. Here we go. What is that? Oh, he went for a bird, folks. He went for a bird, but he missed it. And we get the notion of these fearsome predators that just kill everything they see. And cats will catch whatever they can, if they can catch it, but they often miss. They're not, and when they're young like this, they're not very successful. But they can go for a period of time without eating, and as they get hungrier, they learn to be more and more patient. So preferred diet would be anything he can get his paws on, really. But VM says he has seen him with a fully grown male impala. Now that is the ultimate sort of prey size or prey animal for a leopard, and it's almost like getting your master's degree as a hunter, as you upgrade to that level of a big impala. Young impala are just easy pickings for leopards and lions and whatever else is feeding on meat. There we go. That's a beautiful shot. Yeah, so to go back to that comment from earlier, those jowls are definitely starting to form. If this was the first leopard you saw, you'd think it was quite a big one. So folks, please send through your questions at #SafariLive. Send your comments through. I know this is gripping stuff, but feel free to ask me questions. See what information we can come up with. I will continue to divulge all my information that comes across without boring you too much. I know you're all just on the edge of your seat like I am, just watching him move. It's just wonderful to see them move. And in the daytime with this light, awesome for the photographer. The other two vehicles I can see have got quite expensive cameras, so they must be getting amazing photos of royalty, of the little prince. So there's birds are calling, there's woodhoopers calling, the Franklins are calling, all sorts of things know that he's around, and it's quite nice to have birds and animals like that, because you can follow the movement of the leopard if you lose him by the sounds of everything basically getting absolute fright as he approaches. I mean, with an untrained eye, how difficult would that be to see? And bearing in mind, most of your prey species here only see black and white, so if he's very still and doesn't move, he is invisible, absolutely invisible. Just from the back you see the white of the tail. Okay, well, let's reposition. So we're going to reposition, see if we can get a nice angle of Hosan, and while we do so, go back to James, who I believe is driving out of his bad signal area.
Well, we're not in a bad signal area anymore, no. We've left where we thought Tandy was. It took us a very long time to get out. I'm going to be removing thorns from my underpants for the next 2 years, I think. No, that's not right, because I'll probably change my underpants before 2 years are up. Otherwise, it would be disgusting. Okay, now we have a Wahlberg's eagle in nice light. I think what I shall do is just stop the car up ahead. Oh no, before we do that, hold, stop, press. There's something fiddling around in the dung. Franklin. Why, Franklin, are you doing that? The Franklin is looking for beetles, I think. Oh, just breaking it up with his leggies. And then pecking out the grubs, possibly the odd seed as well. You can hear a nice bit of wind blowing. There we are. Okay, now let me just drive forward a little bit. Poor old Steve's been holding the show while I've been basically doing my best to break jigger. Let's just turn around here, because then we'll get a nice view of the wallaby eagly. No, we won't. We won't get any view at all. Ah, now LJK, you want to hear a Franklin's call? Absolutely we can. Just give me 1 second. I will park us in a position that will hopefully reveal the baby eagle, which I did see in the nest as we came up from the other side. But now it is inevitably gone, on account of the fact that my luck today is worse than that of the Forgotten Highlander. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to go and read a book called The Forgotten Highlander. I'll tell you about it just now when I don't have anything else to tell you. First of all, let me play the Call of a Franklin. Which one would you like to hear? Let's go with crested. They're the most common. Here we go. Okay, crested Franklin. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. So not what you describe as a sort of operatic song voice. A little bit chickenish, which is why, of course, they are known by those who possibly shouldn't be guides as bush chickens. Then the nicest one that we get here is the Cokie Franklin. Let me play you his call. Red-winged, grey-winged, Cokie. Here we go. I think that's quite a nice one. Makes you feel like you're in the club. Let me do it again. Let me do it again for you, LJK. See what I mean? That's my favourite one. Okay, let's carry on. Oh, no, but look, there we have some impala. The reason I couldn't identify them immediately was because Rebecca passed a severe insult down to me via the radio. Rebecca, would you like to say that again? Ah, she said because the only reason that sounds like I was in a club was because I only partied in the 90s. Sebastian, that's not a funny joke that Rebecca said, or made. It was not even a joke. This is very nasty.
I think it's funny.
Yes, I'm sure you think it's funny. I don't think it's funny in the slightest. Now she's just carrying on. She says sometimes the truth hurts. Well, yes, it does, Rebecca. But remember, although all of you young bucks giggling away at me right now, there is no stopping the passage of time. You too will be 41 years old one day. Yes, you too will be that old, and some young, unpleasant human being will say, well, the only person who could find that like club music was somebody who partied in the noughties, or in the tens, or whatever we call what we're in now, I don't know. I'm going to look at the waterhole here at Vuatela Dam, just to see if maybe one of the 7,000 elephants that was here this morning hasn't deigned to appear. Just up here. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. We're going to find an elephant, and as we do so, Hosana's going to start doing backflips, and we'll go back to him. And our one piece of great content for the day will be lost. I'm not sure if Hosana can do a backflip. He might be able to. Not far from the waterhole. Sebastian, are you coughing? Ah. I keep saying we're not far from the waterhole because I'm desperate to make some form of contribution to the show. And Rebecca, of course, is likely to link away at any stage. There's a dwarf mingoose on the road. Ah, Scarlett, you say, which bird call do I find the most annoying? Scarlett, hardy-dars annoy me quite a lot. Don't enjoy them very much. I mean, I don't hate them. You know, there are very few kind of natural sounds. Oh, that's a lovely hornbill sighting. There are very few natural sounds that I don't really enjoy. So probably, I guess, a hardy-dar's got a pretty irritating voice. The woodland kingfisher by the end of the summer I'm thoroughly sick of, but they're always nice. There's also some lovely swallows up there. Oh, listen to them. What are those? I think those are martins. Stay with us, Rebecca, stay with us. Don't go anywhere. House martin. Possibly a house martin. Let me just play the call. No. I don't think it is a house martin. But what we're looking at, if we go, can you go back? Oh, there are quite a few of them there. They've got, oh, they're white-breasted. No, they're not white-breasted. Could they be pearl-breasted swallows? No, I mean, I really should know this. This is a question of failing memory. There they are. No, not mosque swallows. Mosque swallows only occur in twos. They are mosque swallows. Can you hear that, everybody? The one on the far left is most certainly a mosque swallow. And now they're making the same kind of call. Now, I thought they only were found in pairs. Status, generally scarce but locally common. Vicinity of baobab trees, no, definitely not. Let me just check a little bit more here. Breeding, conservation, no. General habits, in pairs or small groups, often near baobabs, although no baobab trees here. How wonderful. That's all they could be, really. Marvellous. Mosque swallows, a great bevy thereof. I'm just looking, yeah, those are the only ones that I can see. I can show you. The light should be okay. So these are all the swallows that we get here. Starting with the barn swallow, ye oldie common barn swallow at the top there. And pearl-breasted, which we get here, which that most certainly wasn't. White-throated. wire-tailed, none of those. And then there is the mosque swallow there. Now you can see he's got a rufous underbelly and a white throat. So if we tap on him, tap, there he is. There are some more pictures, but mostly is the identifier is that picture there. Lorimer, you're wondering which family this bird is from. Well, the swallows are from the swallow family, really. I can get you a slightly more accurate answer to that if you'd like it. Well, we should be accurate, shouldn't we? Shouldn't just say the swallow family. This book will give us the actual family name. And then, Lorimer, you can rest easy on your Sunday afternoon. There they are. The swallows and martins are in the family Hirundinidae. Hirundinidae. The mosque swallow's name is Hirundo senegalensis. That's quite a nice name. Hello, sir. How do you do? Hello, my name is Hirundo. Oh, what a nice name you have, Hirundo.
So in French they call hirondelle.
Are they called them what?
Hirondelle.
Hirondelle in French.
From the Latin name.
Very nice. Justin, you say which bird has the most boring call? Which call is incessant, which just goes on in the same way? I think that prize has probably got to go to the red-chested cuckoo, or the pitmefro, which sits going, pitmefro, 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 pitmefro. Pitmefro! Pitmefro! Weak to link! Over to that guy with the leopard! Empty house dam! Pitmefro! 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 Pitmefro!
and I thought James was a musician. Did I get it right that James said he saw a mosque swallow? I didn't think you got mosque swallows here. That would be very interesting. I've seen them up in northern Kruger. Yeah, no, I don't think he did think so. I don't think you should get them here. If you do, it was a very, very strange sighting. Northern Kruger, you get them. Okay, well, folks, look at the posturing. Don't know what he's seen, but look at his body language. Let's just stand by and see what goes on here. Might have seen a steenbok or a duiker, a scrubbear, something very camouflaged in the grass. Just watch how he gently puts forward those feet. The ears are flat, the focus is directly in front of him. Don't know if he's actually seen it or maybe just heard something. The senses of a leopard are far superior to ours. But you can tell by the way he's looking, he's definitely heard something. Something has attracted his attention. And it's in a bit of a black monkey, orange thicket there. So quite tricky to get in. We did a big loop to come around. So it'd be quite a nice place for a duiker to sort of camouflage itself. Just going to stay right here. Just going to look at those spots. They're invisible, folks. And he's still on the move, folks. Thanks for your patience there. And he is almost at our southernmost boundary. And his intention seems to be directly in that direction. So we hope we can stay with him a little bit longer. But my feelings are we'll probably only be with him for another minute or two before he goes into, I think, Lower Gowrie, if I'm not mistaken. Am I right, Vildi? Little Gowrie, my apologies. It is below Gowrie, so below. My apologies. So we're going to try and come around some more, but I think we're going to lose him now, folks. But what a wonderful sort of time we've had following the little prince through here. This has been quite something, getting a leopard moving this much this time of day. And obviously he's very hungry. Just going to see if we can get one more look for you, folks. One more look, but the chances are he's going to be crossing. So I'm going to just cut out here quickly on this game path. Try to get onto the main road and see what we can do. So I think all of you people back home are so excited this afternoon. No questions are coming through, either because you've been on the edge of your seats or you know everything there is to know about leopards. I think it's the first, and I do think you probably know an awful lot about these cats as well. Or maybe you're just sympathetic, you don't want to ask me anything while I'm driving. You're more than welcome to. Let's see, I think he might just pop out here, folks. Here he's coming just on our right. We're now on our fire break. Can you get him there, V? He's going to the car. Just go right up behind Rexon's car there. Remember, they don't see us as a threat. If anything, they... Wendy Ma asks the question about when leopards urinate, do they urinate backwards? And yes, they urinate backwards like a big spray bottle. There he is. They'll put their bum into the tree and then just this big spray bottle coming out from behind. That is for territorial marking. When they urinate, just normal urinating, females will kind of squat down and do the typical cat urination. You can see smelling something on the grass there. All sorts of things that we'd walk right past. The leopard is very attuned to. Who knows what it could be? On the tips of the grass stalks there could be a female that walked past, could be a hyena that maybe did some form of pasting there. I don't see anything visible from here, but he's definitely curbed his interest, but he's not doing any form of phlegm response. It doesn't seem to be any form of urine spraying there. Come on, Osana, come say hello one more time for the viewers. He's such a pretty boy, isn't he? Yes. Eloise asks an interesting question. Do leopards get hay fever? And I don't think so. I mean, I've seen leopards sneezing. I don't think that's got anything to do with any fever or any sort of allergies that they might get. Sorry about the angle. V, is that alright there for you? Just get him as he crosses. He's going to... That's the main road just in front of him there, folks. So I don't think we're going to get too much more out of him. So walking through the long grass like this, I think genetically, if leopards had an allergy or things affected them like that, they were kind of sort of genetically would lose that, or it would affect them in such a way that it just is quite a hindrance to walk through. I mean, they eye level with the grass all the time. They don't have any tablets. There we go. What's he doing? Looks like the grass is definitely green on the other side, folks. That is little Gowrie that he's looking into. Paula asks a very interesting question. Does a scent mark smell different to the normal urinating? I think it smells the same. You can, when you walk along a road or you go along a territorial boundary, you get that very sort of Doritos smell, popcorn smell to the scent marking. But leopards, if they are territorial, they don't waste their urine on just urinating. They will always scent mark as they walk across. That's kind of the way it works. But in a youngster like this, he wouldn't be scent marking, so he'd probably just be, well, I don't know. Have you seen him scent marking? Yeah. You have, eh? So I'm sure that, but they don't waste it. It will smell the same, I would say. That's my opinion. James might have something else to add to that. I can't say I'm a connoisseur of leopard urine if I've spent too much time smelling it, but okay. Thank you, Bernie. Have a great afternoon. Okay, folks, well, I think that is it for the Prince. He has gone across, and he's gone across, and we're going to go over to James, who is high in the sky.
Well, I kind of wish I was high in the sky, but I'm not. I'm on the ground being viewed high in the sky. Steve was saying, do I think scent marking smells the same as just plain urine? Yeah, I'm pretty sure it smells exactly the same. I don't think that they're able, these animals, to sort of change the scent of their urine based on, you know, whether it is purely for relief or for marking purposes. I think they certainly save it for the purposes of marking, but I don't think that they're able to sort of make some additional hormone addition or something like that. Anyway, our plan from here is, because we have failed to find anything original, to go back to the Buffelshoek Dam so that we can see what's going on with the lions. See what they are doing there. Amanda, what an interesting question. Do I think that animals go through some sort of postpartum depression, or do they have anxiety attacks like we do? Look, there are a massive number of hormones that go through a female's body after she gives birth and just prior to giving birth. I mean, the whole process is controlled by a vast number of hormones. An imbalance in one, which can cause all sorts of emotional responses in human beings. I would imagine there must be some aspect of postpartum depression in animals, as much as there, well, perhaps not as much as there is in human beings. But as I keep saying, with things like human diseases and human things, or human traumas like anxiety, which is your other part of your question, do I think they feel anxious? Yes, they probably do, because anxiety, of course, is as far as I understand it, is the influx of adrenaline into the body, and then your body has to deal with that adrenaline. And it's a part of your fight or flight response. It's if you are nervous or terrified or something like that, you're going to produce adrenaline, and you're going to feel what you feel as anxiety when you're sitting worrying about what's going on around you. That anxiety is your body secreting adrenaline, or your adrenal gland secreting adrenaline, and then you're having a kind of tense fight or flight moment. Do I need to run away, or do I need to stay and fight? And obviously, if you're sitting just in the traffic, or you're sitting at home suddenly worrying about things, well, you can neither fight nor flight, and so that manifests itself as anxiety. Now, I don't think animals do feel that sort of thing. I think they do absolutely feel fight or flight. If you've ever watched an impala, you know that they're in a constant state of sort of anxiety, but it's an anxiety that they have to act on. Should we run away, or should we fight? Whereas because of our lifestyles as human beings, where we put ourselves under all sorts of pressure that we never evolved to cope with, we have these anxiety attacks, and some people cope with them better than other people, and I think that's probably also a totally hormonal response. we have to sort of be treated for these things. We have to go and lie on couches and talk to people, or we have to take medication to help us not produce quite so much adrenaline. And I think that's a function largely of our lifestyles. And I think if you go back to the Stone Age and you look at people, I'm sure there are lots of people who produced unusual amounts of adrenaline, same as there are now. But because life was so much less stressful for the most part, I don't think it had nearly the same effect on us. That would be my guess. I might be quite wrong. And that said, if you look at something like the societies in Papua New Guinea, for example, until very recently, many of them, in fact still, many of the tribes there live as they have for goodness knows hundreds of years, if not thousands. And there's a book by one of my favorite authors, who apparently most anthropologists don't like because he's not strictly an anthropologist, and that is, oh, apparently we're losing signal, and that is Jared Diamond. He wrote a book called The Day After Tomorrow about the tribes of Papua New Guinea. And although when they fight, you know, warring tribe can come together, sort of 60 people on 60 people, although when they fight, relatively few people die in total, the percentage of people that die in a fight between two tribes can be higher than that of the percentage of people that died of the population in World War I, for example, which is quite astounding. Okay, we're going to make our way towards Biffle's Hook Dam, and while we do that, we're going to go back across to Steve-O. I've got the game drive going in my ear. I have no idea what he's going to show you or tell you.
Be able to get 3 of them in a shot, eh?
Yeah, I think get them all in a long row.
You see that, eh? Hello folks, we found wonderful tracks here. And which one are you looking at, V? This one? Wonderful tracks. And those of you back home would know my favorite animal is, I wonder if you do know, there's one foot, the right foot, the left and the right. Look at the stride of this animal. And then there, if I draw a line between the 3, it is straight. This animal is moving very, very quickly. And if I go back to this track over here, you can see the claw marks in the front. There's quite a few pads in the track. There's actually a back foot and a front foot on top of each other here. And it is the marvelous track of the honey badger. Honey badger is under badger. Page 55. We just saw this coming away from the pan over here. And if you have a look at this track, the claw marks are always in front, and there's lots of, obviously, the 5 toes and the proximal pads at the back. And easy to confuse a honey badger with a porcupine by the fact that the pads itself, often people get that confused, but you can never draw a line straight through porcupine in the way that they move. They shuffle. They're a rodent. The porcupine would have one track there, another one there, but you wouldn't be able to connect the dots, so to speak. So this is awesome to see. I know quite a few people thought they saw some honey badgers on the dam cam last night, but it was in fact white-tailed mongoose. I actually saw one of them when I was dropping Jake off at the staff accommodation. And an interesting story that I've been told, I've never seen them do it, but white-tailed mongoose, their lower body is quite dark, and they've got that big, long, white tail. If you haven't seen one before, maybe I should show you. And what they've been known to do, a form of sort of, because no one messes with the honey badger, folks, as you know. No one messes with that honey badger. And if we look at this white-tailed mongoose, you see the big white tail, and the leg area is quite dark. And apparently what they do, I've never seen it, they could actually pull that tail over onto their back, and they sort of go down aggressively, and they snarl and they growl and they spit and whatever, and a lion or a leopard walking past goes, hey, I don't like these honey badger animals, I'm going to leave them alone. So it gives the white-tailed mongoose a little bit of respite and allows them to get away from whatever it is that's trying to injure them. So that is very, very cool. Honey badgers are one of my favorite, or they are my favorite animal. Just put that GoPro back, and we are going to get back on, folks, and carry on. It was too much, too good to pass up honey badger tracks. Okay, on we go. Into the fading light. Yes, I am also very excited. I don't know when it would have been. A lot of you are excited at the potential of seeing a honey badger. I wasn't out this morning. I don't know if anyone drove this road, but honey badgers are known to be crepuscular. They can be quite nocturnal as well, but they're normally most active at dusk and dawn. And out of the handful of honey badger sightings I've had in my life, half of them have been at this time of day. The other half have been in the morning. So we never know. We could be very lucky. But they move. We were watching Hosanna moving there, and he's very slow in his movements. Honey badgers are very deliberate, and to keep up with one I think would be impossible. First lady asks a very nice question. How did the honey badger get its name? And essentially the honey badger feeds on a lot of honey. They are carnivores. They feed on all sorts of things, but they've been known to raid beehives. They're attracted by some of the birds out here called honey guides, which obviously also get their name from the fact that they guide honey badgers and people to honey. And then the honey badger, once breaking open that beehive, they apparently are completely immune. Apart from just the tip of their nose, they're very thick skin. They can take thousands of bee stings, almost no effect at all on them. And then they break open, they feed on the grubs and the honey itself and the insects within the honeycomb, the juvenile bees, and they always leave a little bit of the wax for the bee, the honey guide, which is his reward for attracting the honey badger. So that is where they get their name from. Even though they don't only feed on honey, they'll feed on all sorts of things, from scorpions, rodents, fruits, berries, all sorts of insects. And they'd probably feed on eggs and baby birds, that sort of thing. They're not a very good stalk and attack predator, but they can forage very, very well. Donna asks if honey badgers spray a scent, and they do have a gland. They do have a gland. They are a mustelid, which means they secrete a very foul smelling odor. I've never smelt it, but they do scent mark with it, and I'm not sure if they actually use it in defense. They are black and white, which is a nocturnal aposematic coloration. Essentially the black and white contrast with each other. Porcupines, civets, honey badgers, and they're indicating to nocturnal animals that see black and white, that there's something bad about me, I'm distasteful, or something wrong with me, leave me alone. And whether the honey badger uses chemical for defense, I know that they do use their attitude and their reputation. It precedes them. So a lot of animals leave them alone just on the fact that these things are tough, aggressive, and they are not afraid of anybody. Ali asks if a honey badger would charge me, and the most frightening experience I think I've ever had was when 6 honey badgers charged my vehicle. My tracker was on the front. His name was Clement Koza, and I think he nearly leapt into the side here next to me, but I didn't know what I would do. They charged, but they stopped. It was quite a frightening moment where we weren't sure what was going to unfold, but most of the people I've worked with, tracker-wise, that's the one animal they will never walk into. Never, ever, ever. A honey badger, because they are very aggressive. And I've said it before, but they've been known to go for one's genitals. So, as a man, most men are quite reluctant to approach an animal that has such a form of behavior. So, yeah. But on foot, generally they'll just be quite aggressive, and as soon as you go onto the back foot, then they move off. I've never heard of them attacking people, but they're frightening. So they give off the sense of, and then whatever it is that thought about it steps back, and it gives the honey badger that moment to scurry away with all the attitude and confidence in the world. Everything out here has confidence, folks. When we walk on foot, if we bump into elephants or lions, whatever, it's all about being confident and knowing what you're doing. If you are afraid, and if you back down and you turn your back and run from things out here, that is where things go wrong. So the honey badger doesn't run from anybody, and everything knows that, and everything associates that black and white aggressive snarling thing with a very distasteful and very unpalatable and very hard to kill creature. So I love them for that. I believe Ralph also is a big fan of the honey badger, but who would not be? So folks, we are going to continue on and see what other wonders we might find this afternoon in the setting sun. I believe James has made his way back to Buffelshoek. We're going to go see what he's doing.
Hello everybody, we're back again here. Somebody's just talking to me. We're just live at the moment, sorry. Very friendly person there, wondering about our drone. Okay, well, have we got drone picture? Oh, we're on the drone. Oh, wonderful. Okay, well, there it is. Now, the lions are not far from here. You may actually be able to see them looking at us. And there they are. They haven't moved one little bit from when we last saw them. There's a nice male lion. And wonderful to have a zooming camera. And his consort has left him be because she is not one to, well, spend too much time in a loving embrace, is our amber eyes. I know she is there. I can just see her behind him. Marvellous. Now, we are not going to go any closer than that because unfortunately well, it's just not possible to have any signal from here. But Mike is going in there from Cheetah Plains, and so I think we'll probably pull the drone back a little bit from there just so that he doesn't have to watch the lions while there is a swarm of angry bees all around. There we go. That's wonderful. What a tool it is. And we'll give you a last look at the sunset from Buffelshoek Dam, as you were, Sebastian. Can we see the sunset?
Yeah.
There we are. Ah, merveilleuse. Gorgeous. Very, very beautiful indeed. And there's a bit of picture break up there. I think he's probably just a little bit high. And I mean altitude, of course. Okay, good. Well, that was Buffelshoek Dam. I wish we could get a little bit closer to those lions, but I'm afraid we cannot. Would you like to land? Do you need to land? Okay, we're going to bring the drone down in front of us. You can stay with us if you'd like to, otherwise you can go to Steve. I'm not sure what Rebecca is going to want to do. Oh, we're going to stay and watch Sebastian land. Laxray, what a good question. You say, do big cats suffer from constipation because they only eat meat? In my experience, they suffer from quite the opposite. They've obviously got a very different digestion from ours, and it's a lot more acidic, and they've got the bacteria to cope with the amount of meat that they eat. But no, I would say that constipation is the very last thing I've ever seen on lions or leopards or cheetah. And quite often what they produce is like, and I'm not being facetious here or trying to make a joke, it's like tar. It's like a sort of thick tar. It doesn't smell like tar. It smells like, well, I imagine the bowels of hell smell. But no, they don't suffer from constipation. They do eat grass, and we think that's to line the intestines to perhaps help the passage of the stuff through. We're now waving, of course, at you. Hello, from the drone. There we go. And while we do that, we're going to go across to Steve, who has got an animal that a lion would like to eat.
Perhaps a lion, James, but I believe these are called Tandy's takeaways. We have got two dacres here, common dacre. There's the female, and she's done it again. She's picked up a marula, and she chewed the marula completely from cheek to cheek, and then we saw her swallow the entire pip. It was quite incredible to see. Oh, and off they go. Dacre, translated from Afrikaans to mean diver. I've never ever seen that behavior before. And the dacre have got very, very small droppings as it is. Droppings are tiny. Maybe I can find you one. And it just swallowed a marula fruit. Talking about constipation, I'm not sure what's going to happen there. But folks, we are in the area where Tandy was last seen kind of the den site, so we thought we might just have a little show, just pop a nose in here, see if there's anything to be seen. The duiker were very cool. See two of them together. Wow, have any of you folks seen behavior like that with duiker? So now we know at least that duiker are also feeders of marula. The marula, the universal fruit for all of the animals here. Just wonder how she is going to deposit that tomorrow. With difficulty, no doubt. But Tandy has been in this area for weeks already, and VM was telling me that she's eaten lots of duiker. And now there's two more duiker, as we just saw, very close to this area. Very close to this area. And I wonder, because duiker have got quite strong territorial boundaries, so how they've moved in already and suddenly have sort of moved into this territory, because they wouldn't have gone into a territory if there was another individual there. So maybe they've moved in and they claim this territory. It's really hard to say. The dynamics of the duiker in the Sabi Sands is wonderful. Tandy takeaway. We don't see her here. Not anything obvious anyway. Do you know where she was seen last, V? Was it just on the termite mound here? Eh? Maybe down in the drainage line here. Nilia asks a question about how long can a leopard live without water, and probably quite similar to us. You know, I mean, we could probably go a day or two without water, but that would be really pushing it. We wouldn't want to go for longer than that, but there is water available, so they will go and drink. They will choose to go and drink, and they can get a lot of their moisture from the blood that they eat. They'll often lick the blood. They'll drink the blood from the animal that they kill. Oh, there's a beautiful bird for you, V. You see him? There we go. Maybe I'll go forward. Oh, it's jumping around in the bushes. Little crested barbet. Wonderful bird, just there on the left of the picture. Part of the woodpecker family. Beautiful. Look at that very powerful beak. Male and female, it's very hard to tell them apart. I just love the different colors. Love that red on the rump. What a time to come back to us when we get stuck. Great time to get. No marshmallow for me though. 4x4 capabilities are quite good on these vehicles. Just tried to do a little bit of a turn around here. Go back the way we came. And you nearly caught me stuck. Thanks, Bex, for that. But alas, and I think someone said it. I think Brent said it. You're only stuck if you can't get yourself out. And that is very, very true. I've never called for assistance before in my day. I have been properly stuck before, but I got myself out, and we learn from it. We learn from those experiences, and there is nothing worse than calling your head guide or one of the other guides to come and help you out, because the banter, as you folks have been seeing with Taylor and Ralph and Jamie and even Brent, has been quite fantastic. And we're quite a small team. When you work at a lodge, there can be 15, 20 guides, and there's a lot of ego in those departments, and no one wants to be the one calling to say, please come and help me, which is actually an important human trait. We should ask for help when we need it, but there's a lot of ego. No one wants to make that call. So never. Thanks, Bex. Never. The one time I got really, really stuck, I was actually following a male leopard up a bit of a rocky slope, and I turned the car, and I was on a long wheel-based Land Rover. I turned the car, and the entire car kind of slid, and I landed on rocks. The entire chassis of the car was on the rocks, and 3 of the wheels were off the ground, and in a leopard sighting as well. So that was fun. It took me a while, but I got out with the use of my high lift jack and all the rocks that were in the area, which was good. And then you tell people the story later when you get home about how stuck you were. They're always willing to come and help, but there's always little snide remarks when it comes down to it, or you owe someone a beer. But I know the Mara, I haven't been up there, but those black cotton soils, that is a different story. Places in Singita in the Kruger Park, very rich and thick in clay like that. The army, back in the border wars in the 1980s in South Africa, when it rained, they didn't have to protect that area because they knew no vehicles could come through. It was just too thick and too full of clay. So very, very easy to get stuck in that stuff. Thankfully in the Sabi sands here we don't have too much clay. A lot of sand and very nice vehicles that managed to get through all of these situations so far. We're driving away from the setting sun, and it's going to be a very nice evening. There is a beautiful breeze coming from behind us. And while we search for Tandy and Cub, we're going to go to James, who has Tandy and Cub.
Look at what we found just coming down the road. I can't believe it. Nowhere near where we were looking. Absolutely nowhere near at all. Oh, it's just too sweet. I'm sure she's got a kill somewhere here. I'm just going to quickly call on the Game Drive channel. Bernie, do you copy, Bernie? Because once the sun goes down, we're not going to be able to watch her. We've just located Tandy and Cub, Hyena Road Junction Central. They're on mobile towards, or mobile up Hyena Road. Then I think the rule is, view until sundown, so I will stand by for you to get here. Isn't that wonderful, everybody? Now let's see where she goes. The best part of that was having them running towards the vehicle, because so often it's sideways. Yeah, now Linda, you said it was so precious watching the little thing run down the road. It absolutely was. Now I don't know if she's purposely going up this road or if she's turning off it. No, she was going up the road. Oh, and the little one, as the bird started alarm calls, also putting its little tail up to show, no, we're not a threat. Look at the little tail. I think they're going back onto the main road here. I think we just got in their way. That's why they came around this way. So we'll just back off here. We've probably driven straight underneath her kill, stashed in a tree somewhere a bit. So what? I mean, I'm guessing here, but I reckon that she probably killed something, perhaps yesterday evening, and maybe just, they rested in the shade for the day. I don't know why else she'd be moving with the cub like this. They're just at this little pan up ahead. Marvin is in the way, of course. Let's just let her go there. Oh no, I mean, it's just unspeakable. Look at the little white tail. Fat little feet. Mum's saying, don't look at those people. They're beneath our contempt. Come, let's run. Top, 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 top. Alright, everyone. I'm afraid we've only got 30 seconds left of this drive. I'm going to stay with them a little while, just to see where they go. But I'm afraid you are going off, and may you have a wonderful evening wherever you are. Thank you very much for joining us on our marvellous sunset safari. And a big thank you to Steve for holding the show, of course. We will see you tomorrow at 0500. Until then, bye!